Hey, good morning, everybody. So I was trying to do several videos and I needed to make sure that my speech was not going to flag anything with the Facebook community standards because they are cracking down even more so. So I don't want to have any word in there that would trigger their algorithms. So that's why I started over again. So I was up really early this morning. Really early, like at 3 this morning, because I fed my dog last night my leftovers, and it was a lot more than she usually gets. So she really needed a lot of water this morning. And so I tried to go back to sleep, but I'm like, what's the point? So I just took care of some bills and whatever, and trying to figure out what I was going to talk about today to give me some juice to work with the book that I'm going to have come out in the next 6 months or so. So, or less, I don't know. So anyways, one of the things that struck me the last couple days is the symbols that we've come to know are being challenged and taken down. And then it goes along the lines with what I'm writing about in my next book about cults and culture, and then the emotional, visceral gut reactions that come from love and hate. And then this new world order that we know about that's being ushered in, and some people's cultures are being challenged. And so it's kind of a mishmash of a bunch of stuff because we have so many people in this world with so many perceptions that are not fact, that it's kind of like you go one side, you're going to offend somebody here, you go to the side, you're going to offend somebody there. It's like you can't even take any side, and you shouldn't, except for life and death. I mean, that's the only sides that you have, that needs to be taken. Everything else is just, God, it's distraction. So, good morning, Pip. Nice to see you. So I remember, just because I remember just in this book that I'm writing, I in my introduction I talk about myself. I do a little bit of an autobiography, and I talk about how I was raised. I was adopted from the Vietnam War, okay, to a white Jewish family, and very traditional, but not conservative, Reform Jews, which means that we went to synagogue and we didn't keep kosher, but we learned about the Holocaust. Like, we had the Holocaust shoved down our throat. And it really, when I'm living in a family that is very traditional when it comes to the Jewish religion and the Holocaust, and having to learn about all the atrocities of Bergen-Belsen and all the abuse that the Jews endured back in World War II, it really traumatizes a person to where even to this day, I can't watch Schindler's List or any of these movies around the Holocaust because it was traumatizing. Now, could I watch? So now I probably could, but do I want to? No, it's not something that I would just go and joyously watch, even to remember, because I have no connection to that history. Now, I know some people do have a connection to that history and they don't want it to ever happen again. But what I've found is those that live in history, that are so afraid to be controlled, are then the ones that control. Okay? And so there is, the pendulum always swings the other way when a person is living from imbalances and fear and unresolved issues in history. Okay, so being, a child, having the Holocaust shoved down my throat, and then growing up and having no connection to the Jewish religion. The only connection I had was when I was in the military, and on Sunday I was able to go off base and make phone calls and eat candy when that wasn't allowed during, basic training. And so that was my only real feeling of privilege of being Jewish in a specific setting. So other than that, I have absolutely no connection to it. And that is a culture. Being adopted, I have no connection to the Vietnamese culture. See, this is kind of a weird thing, in my perspective, that I was raised in a culture that I had no connection to. And I'm meeting people that are from like my culture, like Vietnam. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. And I know they're very, very proud of their culture, but I still have no connection to any culture. The only culture I have connection to at this point is like the Jilly Juice culture, but it's not really a culture. It's Jilly Juice that is dealing with past issues, whatever they were, based upon whatever I experienced and all of my predispositions. And now it's just kind of just living and giving people the tools and the opportunity to deal and resolve their own history, their own historical stuff. So here's the thing. What is culture? And this is what I've been writing about, because I've been talking about in my book, as well as on Facebook Live, about cult, culture, and then cultures and cult are based upon the foundations of love and hate. So a cult is a group of people exhibiting deep, intense feelings for a person, place, or thing. So a culture is based upon perception. Culture is based upon, perceptive words like adjectives and verbs, and as well as a noun. Culture can be applied to a person, place, or thing, or a noun. And so a culture is based upon love and hate. Well, Jilly Juice really isn't a culture because there's no love and hate in Jilly Juice. There's no deep feelings of love or hate. Some people have expressed that in the beginning because they have found something that worked for them that they couldn't find anywhere else. And so in the beginning of Jilly Juice, it did seem like it was a cult. So we were accused of being a cult, but we're not a cult because we're not based on the foundation of love and hate, because we're finally getting our biochemistry balanced out where love and hate doesn't come into the picture. It really is about respect. Respect is when you have an admiration for someone's capabilities, their contributions, the way they carry themselves, who they are in this world. Not based upon this emotional biochemical chemistry thing called love and hate, where it can turn on a dime if conditions change. And so relationships are based upon love and hate don't last very long, because when conditions change, there is no love there anymore. It turns into hate very quickly. So really, what is the most lasting foundation that I have found is respect. And Jilly Juice is based upon respect. Respect for your belief systems, respect for your lifestyle, respect for your whatever. And our common foundation is that we are finally resolving the issues within. And we don't worry about what your issues are. You will figure those issues out. But that is the basis of Jilly Juice. So it is not a cult. But I'm finding, this is what I'm finding. Flags, symbols, okay? Flags and symbols are perceptions, and they are representation of unresolved issues. Okay, and it almost reminds me of what these flags are, whatever it's the Confederate flag, the LGBT flag, the United States flag. I mean, this can be really sound crazy. Any flag that represents some kind of culture reminds me of Monica Lewinsky and holding on to that dress. Her dress from, Bill Clinton, the blue dress. That was her flag of I don't know, of the experience, her proof that she hung out with the president, and that's what happened that one time. And I know it's a bad connotation. It's so like, what the hell, Jillian? Because you live in America, you fight for freedom. But this is what I want people to understand, is that culture, you don't die for your culture, because if you die for your culture, there's no culture anymore. You don't have a culture when you're dead. So then, is culture really something that we need to feel attached to? Like, I have no connection to the Vietnamese culture. I'm Vietnamese, I'm American Vietnamese, but I have no connection with that culture. I have no connection with the Jewish culture, except for the fact that I was raised in it and I know all the different symbols, and I know even the Israeli national anthem, okay? But does that hold any meaning to me? Not really. Not really. I mean, the only thing that I really connect to is life and promoting life and resolving my issues and just helping people, figure out their own issues. That's it. And so flags have all these different perceptions to different people, because some cultures have hijacked the flags. Like, I remember a kid that I used to know that would put the swastika symbols all over the neighborhood. And I'm like, why would you do that? Because that was when I, was like, what the hell, and I was raised in a Jewish household, and you never put swastika symbols anywhere. And he would say that because that's the symbol, that's like some kind of Buddhist symbol. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I looked it up, but I'm like, a symbol can have several different meanings. Okay, so you have a Confederate flag, which means one thing to one person, another thing to another person. and one person has unresolved issues. Now I know you're saying it's a personal issue. However, are these flags and these symbols truly something to die for, or would you fight for your life if you were challenged on your soil? If you were challenged on your soil, on your property, and then flags and culture would have nothing to do with it. That would be the least of your worries. Now it's about mano y mano. Okay? And so I think that we're under the impression that flags and culture and religion, all these different things, something to die for, when it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm hearing about like the Falun Gong and all the people like Christians in China who are dying for their religion. And I'm like, what's the point of dying for a religion or dying for anything? When you're dead, it's not there. But what about America? The America fought for, okay, I mean, that was back then. We finally have made a place for ourselves. Do we need to go back to 1776 and live there as if we were still fighting for, oh, but the New World Order, they're going to come in and well, hey, if they come to your house and they want to shoot you or cart you away, well, then yeah, okay. But that's not happening. Okay, but that's the fear that people live in, because they're living from history. They're not living in the future. And that's the whole point of Jilly Juice, is where you resolve all your fears, that it's not whatever happened yesterday or 600 years or 300 years or 500 years, it's not going to be something that you're going to have an issue with in the future. But those that don't know their history, we're doomed to repeat it. Well, you can acknowledge history. You can say that, yes, this happened once. Does it mean that it's going to happen again? No. Oh, but if people forget, well, hey, look, if we're raising kids that are always remembering the historical stuff, and they're getting, and they're getting these ideas, and they're getting things that are presented to them, and then they have imbalances. Yeah, I mean, when you have imbalances and you have issues with your biochemistry, you're going to go violate the lowest hanging fruit. So, I mean, I'm not too concerned with all the symbols out there. I mean, it's a trip, because I come to America for a symbol of freedom, and that's the reason why I was brought here, and I'm very happy, and I'm very, very proud of being a naturalized citizen. However, if the direction of America is going, where all these different symbols have to come down for whatever reason because of different perceptions, whether it's manufactured or not, as long as, my way of life, so to speak, is not completely impacted. Because look, even with this COVID, which would impact a lot of people's perception of freedom, if the COVID and all the riots and all these things hasn't really hurt my way of life, I still can go to the grocery store. I still can go get my mail. My dog's able to go outside. We're not dodging bullets. There's no aliens in the sky. I'm not too concerned with the direction that we're going. I mean, eventually, with this New World Order, whatever it is, where it eradicates culture, where now we've become a more homogenous with a different way of relating, and we're not turning to violence on an every, well, I don't know, we are, but we're not. But I don't know. I mean, we have to change the culture in some way, or change the way which we're doing things. I'm not too concerned with where we're going, as long as we're maintaining our ability to take care of ourselves and feed ourselves, and then we have access to salt, cabbage, and water type of thing, right? Because if we didn't have that, then yeah, that would be a problem. But that's not going to happen. We're not going to have a deficiency in the salt market. There's going to be enough for all of us. So it's like, time is a currency. Your time on this earth really is worth so much. All of these arguments about culture and flags and symbols is like the debates on TV, the politics out there. Okay? So, I don't know. I mean, culture, the deep feelings for a person, place, or thing. It's all about love and hate. I mean, I'm so over all of it. It's interesting to watch people get all tripped out about inanimate objects. And I understand why, because of unresolved issues. And just like with the jelly juice, when you have some kind of issue with a food, not so much jelly juice, but let's say you have a tomato issue, you stay away from the tomato, eat everything else, do the jelly juice, and eventually you can handle that tomato. Will we eventually be able to handle symbols out there and see history without having visceral gut reactions? Well, yeah, history is always going to be there, of course, but do we have to have symbols representing something that many people have visceral gut reactions and, and unresolved issues about? And even though it's my problem they have those issues, I'm not too attached. If it hurts them, I'm not too attached. Now, this thing with the mask. Now you gotta figure out with the masks. People are like, well, why don't you wear a mask, Jillian? Because you're being selfish and you're not being kind to those that have cancer, disease, and chronic illness. Well, having a symbol taken down, which I have absolutely really no major connection to, because I'm still going to uphold the belief system of our culture without having a deep visceral gut reaction. I'm still going to uphold the laws of my land. But when someone puts something on me, forced to put something on, like a mask on me, because they're afraid of catching something that I may have, then you're compromising my body, mind, and spirit because of your imbalances. Okay? Because at some point, those that are weak are going to have to be able to rise up to the level of their environment. But as far as a symbol or a statue or a flag, okay, symbols of this, symbols of that. I am a symbol of America. I don't need to have a flag or a statue or anything. I am the representation of America. I embody American values. Do I need a symbol to represent that? But I mean, when it comes to somebody's issue with the environment and they can't handle the environment and they're thinking that I'm destroying their environment, they're not going to compromise my way of life in that way because of their inadequacies. And if a person truly is afraid of the environment where they think they're going to get cancer, disease, and chronic illness, then they need to stay home. And they need to wear all their full body, whatever. So cults and flags and symbols, they're all perception. And when you have so many different perceptions, you just got to let people have their perception and not be too attached to these symbols, because really we embody, and that's what it comes down to, is we as an individual embody what we believe in, what our culture is. Okay? And so it's always going to be a debate because of people's major attachments to inanimate objects, and it's one of those things where, like, way back, what is it, the golden calf in the Bible story, where when people were praying to the golden calf. Interesting how it's kind of, we're back to that again, right? We're praying to the golden calf, and then how did God punish the people that are praying to the golden calf? He melted the calf down and poured the gold down their throats. Like, oh my God. So anyways, that's my thoughts, but I had to figure out how I was going to say this, because I know I know what direction I'm going to. It's already been told. We are seeing all the signs out there. We've been told the Georgia Guidestones, the New World Order, the Illuminati, whatever. Okay, you got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to adapt. If you cannot adapt to this new society, oh my God, what are you going to do? You embody the body, mind, and spirit of life, and having a symbol to represent something from history isn't necessary to live. It's only necessary when somebody has an imbalance and they're afraid they're going to die soon. And that's kind of the issue, is that people are dying and reproducing. And when you die and reproduce, you hold on to history. But what happens if you keep living, you are history and you are the future. You don't need a symbol. You don't need to have, all these flags everywhere to represent who you are, because you are who you are, whatever that is. If you're a human. All right, that's it. Bye.